Hi class! So for today's lesson, I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on how to build the Magic 8 Ball app. I assigned the Magic 8 Ball last class, but it does have some new concepts that we didn't get a chance to go over last class, so I wanted to walk you through it and explain some of the new things that this app introduces. So let's get started. You can find the details about the Magic 8 Ball app on our Canvas page. If you go either to assignments or to modules is where you can find it. And here on the assignment page is where you can see all the details of the app. When creating this app, we are going to learn a new component in Thunkable, which is the accelerometer. The accelerometer is a sensor in your phone that knows when the phone is moving. Another thing that we will learn very quickly is lists. We will go over lists more in depth later on in the semester, but this is a very small and quick introduction to how lists are used in Thunkable. So the functionality of the Magic 8 Ball app is that the user shakes the phone, and when the phone is shaken, the app chooses a random answer to display to the user, as well as a text-to-speech component that reads the answer out loud. If you'd like to see how the app functions, I recently posted a little video on this assignment that shows what the app's functionality looks like, because when you look at the completed example here, you can see how the app looks, but you can't see its functionality because you can't shake your computer to see it. But we will build off of this example to create the app. You will note that there are no assets needed for this assignment, although I did include a link to a Wikipedia page that has some common answers that Magic 8 Balls have that you could use, either copy and paste these, or you can use them as inspiration for your answers, or you can use whatever you'd like. Get creative with it, and make your app your own. So let's get started on building it. I'm going to go to Thunkable, and I'm going to create a new app. I'm going to call this one Magic 8 Ball Tutorial. Great. So now we have our blank app. Let's take a look at the completed app. You will notice on this example that we have a label here that displays the instructions for the user. And you can kind of see here this blue dot. This is actually a second label. It's just blank and has a blue background to it. But this is where the answer will be displayed after the user has shaken the phone. So let's go ahead and add those components to our app. We'll grab one label from over here and drag that into our phone, and a second label. So those are the only two visible components needed for this app, but it also requires two invisible components. The first of which is the accelerometer, which is what senses if your phone is moving. And you can find the accelerometer here in the Add Components panel. If you scroll down, and here under Sensors is where you'll find the accelerometer. So let's go ahead and drag that in to our app. And because the accelerometer is an invisible component, you will only see it down here at the bottom, under your phone, and up here in the app tree. The other invisible component we need for this app is a text-to-speech component, because that's what's going to be able to say the answer out loud, kind of similar to our Hello World app. So let's go ahead and add a text-to-speech component in. And it is here under the voice section. Drag that in. Great. So let's go ahead and name our components so we don't get our labels confused. So the top label here is where we're going to display the sentence, ask a question, and shake for an answer. So let's go ahead and click on our first label, and let's rename this label using this little pen, and I'm going to call it title label. And we are using the same naming conventions that we learned last class with the lowercase t and the capital L for label. Great. And then the second label is where the answer is going to be displayed. So I'm going to call this the answer label. Again with the lowercase a and the capital L for label. Cool. So let's go ahead and add in the instructions, ask a question and shake for an answer. So let's go ahead and up here in the text property of our button, let's type that out. Ask a question, shake for an answer. Great. And then our answer label does not yet have an answer in it, but it will once the person shakes the phone. But for now, we're just going to leave it blank. And you can click the little X next to the text property to delete it. Okay. While we're here in the designer, let's do a little bit of styling of our app. You can see in my example that my app has a black background. The title/instructions is in like a bold white font. I also have the answer label with a blue background. But you can style your app however you'd like. You don't have to make it look like mine. Get creative with it, make it your own. But I'm going to style mine in that same way. So in order to change the background color of our app, we need to change the color of the screen. So we're going to go over here to our app tree and select screen 1. And all of its properties will show up over here on the properties panel. And you'll see its first property is background color. So let's go ahead and select black. Great. One thing you'll notice is that now we need to change the color of our text so it shows up. So let's change the title labels. All its properties will show up here, and this color is where I'll change the text color. Let's make it white. Now we can see it. And we're also going to do that for the answer label. Okay. Also on the answer label, you heard me mention that I have a blue background on the text box. So let's go ahead and add that in. So we're selected on the answer label here, and you can change the background color with the background color property. And I'm going to make it blue, with this bluish purple. Great. For the title/instructions, I'm going to make the font size a little bit larger. I'm going to say 23-point font. I also want the font weight to be bold. And I also want the text to be aligned center. That looks pretty good to me. The last thing I want to do in terms of user interface design is I want to add a little bit of margin between the instructions and where the answer will be displayed, because right now they're touching each other and they're really close. I just want to give a little space. So we're already selected on the title label. So the way to add a little space is I'm just going to add a bit of margin to the bottom of it. So we scroll down here to margin, and you can see we have the bottom selected here. I'm just going to say 20 pixels. That doesn't really matter, however much space you'd like. Great, so that's about it for the designer side of things. So let's go ahead and move over to the blocks, where we will build in the functionality of our app. So let's begin with what the user is going to do to the app to make it happen. In our Hello World app, that was the user clicking a button, but we don't have any buttons in this app. Instead, the functionality will happen when the user shakes their phone, and that has to do with the accelerometer. So let's look at our accelerometer drawer over here, and you'll see that the accelerometer has this block which says when accelerometer is shaking. This is the one we want to use. So let's go ahead and drag that one out. And what do we want to happen when the user shakes the phone? We want to display an answer in the answer label. So we're going to use the answer label drawer over here, and we're going to change the text property of the answer label. So let's drag this block out and snap it in there. Great. And what do we want the answer label to display? we want it to display a random answer from a list of answers. So this is where we're going to use the other new concept, which is lists. And you can find all the blocks for lists here under these bluish list app drawer. And the block that we want to use is this third one down that says random item of list and then provides a list. So let's grab this one out. And we can put it right on top to snap it in. Great. So now we have when the accelerometer is shaking, set the answer labels text to a random item from this list. So in these pink text box is where we can add our answers, our potential answers. So I'm going to go back over to this Wikipedia page and just start copying some of these to add in. Paste that one. I'll grab another one. Great. And if you want more than 2 answers to your list, you want to make your list more than 2 items long, you can easily add more items to your list by clicking on this little blue gear icon. And that'll bring up this little pop-up menu where you can take this item piece and drag it over here, and you'll see that that adds another spot for you to put another item. So I'm going to do one more. Great. And you can close this little dialog box just by clicking on the gear again. Great. So I'm going to add 2 more pieces of text. So I'm going to come over here to the text and grab a blank piece of text and add that in. Add a second one. And then we'll continue copying my answers. And pasting them in place. Great, now we have all of our answers placed in our list. So far we have when the accelerometer is shaking, set the answer labels text property to a random item from our list of answers. So that's halfway there. There's only one more piece of this puzzle, and that's the text-to-speech component. We want, after the answer is displayed in the answer label, for the text-to-speech to read the answer out loud. So we're going to come over here to our text-to-speech component. And we're going to use the same block that we did when we did our Hello World app, which is the call text-to-speech is speak. So I'm going to drag that out and pop it in place. And we want the text-to-speech to read the answer label. So the way that we do that is by going to the answer label. And you'll see here that we have this block that says the answer labels text. This is the one that we want to add. And we can put that right on top of this default hello block to get it to snap into place. Like that. And that's it for the blocks part of this app. It's completed. So let's go over it one more time. We have when the accelerometer is shaking, set the answer labels text property to a random item from our list of answers. Then we're going to call the text-to-speech to speak what's the answer labels text. And that's our completed app. In order to test it on your phone, you can click on this live test button up here. And you'll see the web version of your app. But in order to see its full functionality, you'll have to try it out on the Thunkable Live app on your phone. And you can see it work. The last step to this is just to turn it in. And you can turn in your app by going back to your My Projects page, which you can get to by clicking on the Thunkable logo. And then click on the 3 dots next to the app that you want to submit. Click on its project details page. Then copy this URL. Go back to the assignment on Canvas. Hit Start Assignment. Paste the URL and hit Submit. And as always, on the assignment page, there is a rubric. that shows all the criteria that the TAs and I will be looking for when we grade the app. And you'll note that it includes the components being renamed following naming conventions, as well as all of the specific functionality of the app broken down. And that's it. If you have any more questions about the Magic 8 Ball app or the other app that is assigned for next class, which is the Image Recognizer app, or even the Hello World app, you can come to my extra office hours on Saturday over Zoom during when we would have normally had in-person class, which is from 1 p.m. to 2:05 p.m. And you can find that Zoom link here on the home page of our Canvas app where it says Asynchronous Saturday Class on Zoom. You can click that link in order to come to class. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me or the TA via email. And that's it. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I can't wait to see you in class on Tuesday.